Hey, folks, just in case you can hear me, just setting up some peripheries here. I'll be right with you. Okay. Um, let's see. Let's make sure. I've got a couple of devices going. I still don't have our usual iPad. Longtime viewers will know the thing's haunted. So we can't get it fixed until we find a specialist in haunted iPads. And so I've got a couple of very old devices here go that are tethered in as part of my note-taking process and everything. And I'm just so glad to see you, and I'm glad that we're on a weekend, boy. Okay, so first of all, let's for newcomers that may have seen my short, wondering what we're going to be doing here tonight. I'm Michael Noland, and the name of the channel is Michael Noland, The Bottom Line. But when I stream, it is called the Tribal Forum. You'll see that in many of my videos, you are encouraged to subscribe to the tribe. And that's what we call ourselves around here. We're a group of like minded individuals as far as classic rock goes. And even then, we have our differences. To say the least, I'll be bringing up one of those differences in tonight's stream. So, tonight is Tribal Forum number 77, where we'll be doing both a tribute to John Lodge and his wonderful band, the Moody Blues. Now, John Lodge passed away on October 10th, just 2 days ago. Really hit me hard. At the age of 82, I remember one of the earlier videos said he was 79, but in fact, he was 82 years of age. In between him finishing his summer tour, he had just finished doing live shows in August, folks, and was planning to return to the stage in November. There's no known cause of death so far given, but in 2023, John did suffer a mild stroke. So perhaps that had something to do with this. If you don't know exactly who John Lodge is, you know the Moody Blues, but who is John Lodge? He was the bass guitarist, he was the co lead singer, and a songwriter for the Moody Blues, right? And some say the very heart and soul of the band, all right? A couple of the members even said that about him. John contributed to such classic Moody Blues cuts. I see that. I'll be right with you, Gear Jam. Thank you so much. I didn't see how much. I just saw it come up. The deuce hammer. Yeah. Oh, a deuce hammer. Yeah. All right. That's it. We'll get into that in just a minute. Now, John contributed a lot of songs to the Moody Blues. I was about to say. And some of them, Ride My Seesaw, Isn't Life Strange, and I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band, and many more. He was also a solo artist and a record producer. In 2018, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame along with the Moody Blues. A ridiculous induction when you think about how long they weren't inducted into that ragtag Hall of Fame to begin with. I was absolutely stunned. But then again, prog rockers are usually issued from by certain nominating committees. And some of you may be going, what? Prog rockers? Yeah, perhaps that's exactly what I mean. We'll get into that in just a mention, or just a minute. I saw my note. The next word was mention. I did want to mention that this, if you have not seen this, all right, I love this. Take a look at this, folks. Look at the design. Now, what does that design reflect? Why, it's an M for the Moody and a B for the blues to begin with, right? I've got a backwards image here, so I hope I tilted that correctly because that's the way you'll be seeing it. I'm hoping it's the same thing. Or well, just in case, how about this? MB. Okay. All right. And then I've also got this DVD. It's a great performance, but nowhere near like their performance at live at Red Rocks. This is a concert that both Kimberly and I, my wife, who is also my producer and in the background right now, you'll see her as Kimberly Noland, have watched many times together. Oh, wow. In with a $20 super thanks. Is that what I saw? Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'll be right with you, folks. I just want to kind of wrap up this introduction. So the one thing that I kept, of course, when she first saw it, her eyes were kind of on Justin Hayward for the predominant most of the time, for most of the time, I should say, and that's the reason. And the reason for that is some of his songs are her favorite songs of all time, right? But I kept putting her attention on that bass player and the joy, and she got it immediately. And immediately, he became as important to her as Justin Hayward, who wrote probably the majority of the most well known songs by the Moody Blues. This man was full of joy. Now, I don't propagate, religion on this channel or anything like this, but he was a Christian man and evidently stayed very true to his faith throughout the years. And in the world of rock and roll, whether you agree with him being a Christian or not, that says something about the man's character as far as I'm concerned. Now, I've got a poll out in honor of tonight's tribute, and tonight's tribute will continue at 6:30 tonight, shortly after I sign off my smaller stream, and I show up as one of the four horsemen. They call me Warhorse over there, and we will be discussing both John Lodge and the Moody Blues as an extra special treat for all of you. Doc Insomnia. That man gives me more homework and then he gets a hold of Royce, then Royce calls me. Then I got to call Royce back. Anyway. And I do think it was Doc that gave me the original idea to do a tribute tonight on the Moody Blues. Now, I do want to mention something. This poll has a couple of, not all their albums. These are my favorite albums by them, plus one I put in as an experiment. You folks know me. I don't usually put greatest hits albums out. We're going to take a look. So you got a chance to go over and vote before I end this stream tonight, because we're going to take a look at just exactly what are the next albums that will go into the finals. Okay. All right. So my big question for tonight, when I get back into this, because I do have to attend to these super thanks, they're wonderful. And I always give a shout out for the people who gave us a super thanks on my last stream, right? But we're going to be asking a question for the bulk of this stream, and that is, were the Moody Blues rock's first prog band? Okay. And like I said in my shorts, not in my shorts. Well, I was in my shorts. I had some jogging pants on top of them, but in my short, I should say, I brought that up. There is a counter argument to that, but a lot of people wouldn't even bring up the Moody Blues as a prog band. We'll be discussing that. Of course, troll alert, troll alert. You never know when they come out of the woodwork. And tonight, especially, just shut them down, just 86 them if they come in. And let's keep this whole stream as positive as we possibly can. Okay. The channel just hit and secured, apparently, 46,300 subscribers. We also just reached 12.5 million views on this channel. And some of you are still complaining that you're being unsubscribed. So I encourage everyone, check to see if you're still subscribed. Just came in with a super thing. I saw that. Just as I was, swallowing a load of codswallop in my mouth. I'll get right to you guys. But check to see if you're still subscribed, and also check to see if your notifications are turned on. We've got merch. I've talked about this before. Let's just bring up one mug. We have two. This is the new and improved mug. Again, I have a backward image because of the platform I'm streaming on, folks, and we're in the midst of fixing that by February. But we are the tribe, it says, right? And I already explained what the tribe is there. That's a good way to support the channel and get something back for your dollar. All right, shout outs. I'm going to give shout outs to those who gave us super thanks on our last stream, and then we're going to get into this important question. All right, so Michael Boswell was in with a $2 super thanks. The Four Horsemen, my good friend Royce, was in with a $10 super thanks. Just the Facts Man, $10 super thanks. Just the Facts Man comes on as Conquest. On the Four Horsemen, and I'm assuming Dan will be there tonight. And he gave us, I should say, a $10 super thanks. Deuces Wild gave us a $10 super thanks. Michael Boswell was in yet again with another Deuce Hammer, a $2 super thanks, and Jersey Devil with another Deuce Hammer, a $2 super thanks. All right, so that gets us down to the question at hand. And before I do that, I do want to catch up on which of you uh, have given us a super thanks so far this lovely evening. I'd be amiss if I didn't bring that up. Let's see. Are they anywhere around? Well, I've got Deuces. Did I let it go too far? Oh my goodness.
I got it up if you need it.
Yeah. Uh, why don't you read them out loud real quick?
Uh, Deuces Wild says John Lodge was amazing in many ways. Not a flashy player, but can hold it all down brilliantly. A uh, a gold singer and songwriter. The band is maybe the first symphonic band and has many prog elements in their music.
I agree.
Rest in peace, John. Oh, that's so
I agree.
nice. So nice.
Right. I agree with that. We're going to be talking about a lot of what he's talking about there. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
Who else do we have, baby?
We have Rock and Robin, but she didn't say anything. She just gave $1.99.
She gave us a deuce hammer.
She sure
Just
did.
slung that sucker right on into the pit, didn't
Rock
she?
and Robin.
Okay, and who else do we have? Because there was others there.
I don't have any others.
Okay, I let them go too far. All right, for those first couple of super thanks that we got tonight, what I'll do is I'll make sure.
Oh, there was Irgesplitten.
Irgesplitten, right?
Irgesplitten, yes.
What did he have to say?
He says inaugural swing of the deuce hammer.
he was the first in with the deuce hammer.
That's deuce.
All right, good man. Thank you so much. And if I missed anybody else or we missed anybody else, when I review this stream, I'll find out who I missed, and we'll give you a super extras shout out on my next stream. Okay, folks? All right, so that gets us down. When we talk about the Moody Blues, first of all, you got to understand this channel has a channel page. Go to the channel page and click that more button. Oh my goodness! Hey, Royce, how you doing, bud?
Royce, that's so nice.
Speaking of the Four Horsemen, with a $10 super thanks, what did he have to say, baby?
He says, "Rest in peace, John Lodge." From a longtime Moody Blues fan.
There you go. Yeah, Royce and I were talking about that earlier today. We both go way back with him. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you how I really got connected to him. I was a Beatles fan, a very young Beatles fan, and one of my friend's sister. Oh my goodness, we got another one in, baby.
Did we? Oh, I was just replying to the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
Just the Faxman.
Can you read his comment? Sorry about this. When we get the bigger screen up, I'll be able to do this better, folks.
He says, "Please support this channel if you are able to. Michael and Kimberly consistently put out informative content."
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dan.
That's why we call him Dan the Man, baby.
Aww.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. You guys, all of you, you're keeping the channel alive. All right. But tonight's not a time to talk about that stuff. I want to stay focused on this, and we have so little time uh, uh, before Royce's show, right? And I want to make sure that I get everything across. I was talking about when I became a Moody Blues fan. Uh, I had a best friend whose name was Scott, right? And he was about a year younger than me, and his older brother was about a year older than me, right? Scott and I were still collecting and reading comic books. Coe was slightly, his older brother, slightly older, and was getting into the Beatles and everything, even learning to play guitar. And it was him who taught me my first six chords. Okay, and so they had a sister named Nan. Now, Nan and her best friend Linda absolutely adored, guess who? The Moody Blues, right? And Nan would take Scott and I down into the city, and we go down to Haight Ashbury. We go down, to the Fun House. And 8-track tapes, and then we go back to her apartment where she'd let us swim. That was cool, a pool and all of that, and everything was Moody Blues. And the first album I bought by them, and my personal favorite, although just thinly, because we're talking about 7 or 8 masterpieces here, folks. This is a major band, right? But the first one I actually bought was Threshold of a Dream. Okay, that was my, oh man, that covers all the bases for me. And we can get into that, why that's true and everything. So when I first put together, and I said, like, my channel has a channel page, you click the more button, and you'll see a list of 13 bands. The Moody Blues aren't on it. Now, these 13 bands are what we call the 13 rock bands of Mount Rock Olympus, right? And that list is as you folks voted for. My original list included the Moody Blues. That's how important they are to me, right? And they just barely missed getting into the top 13 bands. They by a wisp, okay? So this is a major, major band. Now, why do I think that they may be rock's first prog rock band? Now, I noticed a comment over at Royce's show, a pre comment to tonight's stream by Doc Insomnia, going, well, that honor has to fall to Frank Zappa, who his first album came out in 19, I think it was 1966, was it, Doc? And when that came out, Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention had to be the first prog rock band. Now, some of you are going, wait a freaking minute. I've watched a lot of prog rock channels, and they usually say that the first prog rock band is King Crimson, right? And to that, I can only reply, why? King Crimson, in the Court of the Crimson King, came out in 19, was it 69? But so did the Yes, the album by Yes, right? Not the Yes album, but the album entitled Yes. Then they later did an album entitled The Yes Album, right? Beat them to it. And of course, as many of you know, Yes would be my favorite prog rock band of all time. If you're just going to talk pure prog, they're the ones for me. All right. And that is, but there are two types of prog here, and people sometimes get confused as to what is prog. Now, Pink Floyd has just a bit of prog, a little bit of psychedelia, and just some great songwriting that focuses on the strength of a song, right? And so does the Moody Blues. Okay. So now, when I think of the Moody Blues, they came out a year after, you got me there, Doc, after Frank Zappa's album. Okay. So the Mothers of Invention, by that very logic, must be the first, at least proto prog band. I don't like that word. I think they were fully prog, or at least, well, no, so was Frank Zappa. I'll admit that. Okay.
Dr. Insomnia says 68.
68.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. So when the Moody Blues, first of all, you had what was their first album? The Fabulous Moodies, the Magnificent Moodies, the Magical Moodies, something like that. Uh, and that was helmed by Denny Laine. As a matter of fact, they wrote material, but they did a lot of covering. Okay, and that was their intention to be a cover band and get hits that way, fill their albums out with more covers and sometimes Denny Laine and Mike Pender's kind of songs, things like that, right? Mike Pender being one of the five classic lineup Moody Blues players to me. All right, you've got Justin Hayward, you've got Graham Edge, you have Ray Thomas, uh, you have Mike Pender, and of course John Lodge. Those are the four or the five key members. Now, Mike Pender would cut out right. Was it right after Seventh Soldier? I'm trying to remember. And he moved to the States, moved to L.A. Right at one point later on. Justin Hayward caught up with him and was going to make an album with him, right? And as a solo kind of thing. But then Ray Thomas wound up being there, and was it Graham Edge wound up being there, and Mike Pender said, "I'm not working with these fools," and he backed away from the project. The project became what? The Blue Jays. I think, and a very highly ranked album. I wasn't aware of it until I did my research. I got to be honest with you. And so I want to, that'll be the next little bit of homework I get. All right. So that's where they went. But once they got to these five key members, and along with Days of Futures Past, they were on a whole different road. They were told by their audience, key audience members who showed up at all, your blues covers suck, man, and they went, well, maybe we're just not that good of a blues band. Maybe we ought to just you know uh, look for further pastures, and they did that, right? They did that. So why would I still call them the the first prog rock uh, group, super group, and that would be by the membership, Doc. If you look at Frank Zappa, I stopped counting at 49 members. Okay. To me, Frank Zappa, if you want to say he, as an artist, got in there, because it would be like John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band. The Plastic Ono Band was whatever John Lennon said it was. And if you go to any music search, you just type in John Lennon. Plastic Ono bands are on that, right? And what are that? What is that I'm talking about? A list of his solo albums. So to me, Frank Zappa had this uh, caravan of people coming in, right? And so it was more him directing it. I'm not saying none of them had a whole lot to do with it, Doc. Not at all. Not at all. And he is a genius. I don't care for the vocals on most of his records and things like that. So he never kind of hit my chimes. But a genius nonetheless. Absolutely. I would concur with that. And maybe as a solo artist, I would consider him as beating out the Moody Blues. But the Moody Blues is one of those bands that's clearly known mostly, vastly, by the membership of Ray Thomas, Graham Edge, Justin Hayward, John Lodge, and Mike Pender. And later, just the four of them, minus Mike Pender. But there was at their nearest, they still had four of the five key members that really put the Moody Blues on the map, besides the hit Go Now. Now, that doesn't take away Denny Laine's presence. That doesn't take away the three other members that were in and out, replacing each other. Before this lineup occurred at all, they have their place in history, absolutely. But they would have been a one hit wonder. They have admitted that. That's one of the reasons they changed their direction. They their label had put them on a subsidiary label. Okay, they were pushed. They were fighting for their existence. They knew their days with a record contract were limited, and they had to do something radical. And when you think of the radicalness of what they accomplished, well, it just blows me away. Let's see. Yeah, I was going to talk about. Well, let's take a look at this poll first of all. That I'm always talking about. What is this famous poll? Well, you go to my channel page, hit posts, and there it is. Now, these are brand new polls, not out a full day. One of them not even out half a day. But with the first week so far, we've got almost 500 votes. And it says, which of the following Moody Blues albums is their best? All right. All right. So in last place, A Question of Balance, which is a masterpiece. All right. And a lot of you wrote in all of them, but then you voted for, well, you had to choose one. So I would imagine with only 9% of you voting for A Question of Balance, I think it's because of the remainder of these albums, right? In third place was In Search of a Lost Chord, the second um, Moody Blues album I ever bought. I love it. Yeah, like I said, it's a masterpiece. And then in second place, On a Threshold of a Dream. Ah, ouch. Why? Why? Well, of course, it's because of Days of Future Past. 69% of you 69% of you voted that so far out of 500 of you as your favorite or their best album, is how I put it. I didn't say your favorite, I said their best album. Now, part two, and when I let these polls go for a while, there'll be a runoff. The top two vote getters in each of these categories will go into the finals, just like my normal polls. But again, the question, which of the following Moody Blues albums is their best? Yeah, now, this is a tight race here. We've got in last place, barely by 1%, Long Distant Voyager, which would be probably my third or fourth favorite Moody Blues album. As a matter of fact, I have, again, sorry for the backwards image, so far, and you guys know I have a really small record collection. And so for me to actually have two albums by the Moody Blues so far, I've just barely begun, right? And so I've grabbed these. We've got, of course, Days of Future Past and Long Distance Voyager. Okay, so those are two of the albums that I just had to have. You know, but I want Threshold of a Dream next. Absolutely. So again, just barely nudging that out in third place was Seventh Soldier, which had a early lead, right? And then in second place, Every Good Boy Deserves Favor with 21. Oh, no, that's in last place. Sorry. Okay, I didn't see that. All right, in last place is Every Good Boy Deserves Favor with Long Distance Voyager being in second place. Now, what could kill Long Distance Voyager? How about, and I don't usually do this, do I, folks? How about the Moody Blues Greatest Hits, a compilation album, with 34% of you saying, that's enough, just that'll do. And you know what? I think, and the reason I included this was to prove a point that I've made in past streams when I have said that, you know, a lot of the albums that are still in the Billboard Top 200 are greatest hits albums. I worry that that's what the next generation will remember these bands by, not by their albums. And if there is one single band out there, folks, that was known for their albums, it's got to be the Moody Blues. Now, they only had a handful. They may have had a dozen top 40 hits. I forget how many. They An even smaller handful of top 20 hits and an, a scoop of top 10 hits, right? Nights in White Satin, I would have thought when I did the research, my memory was that was the number one hit, and it only hit number two. Okay. So that's their biggest hit. Gemini Dream was a big one. I think that may have made the top 10. Okay. So there are they had hits. Ride My Seesaw. I remember Ride My Seesaw was a hit. You know, it was being played on AM radio right along with the top 10, right? So no matter how high it got airplay. And then in these days, the cool kids, and the cool folk who were on top of things had already switched vastly. The only time I listened to AM back in those days is if I was in a car, a company car that only had an AM radio, right? So I bounced back between KSAN and KFRC to try and get whatever. That's the stations in my area, the North Bay, Northern California, just
Oh, hi.
60 miles north of
Deuce's Wild
San
just came
Francisco.
in with a super
San
thing.
Francisco.
Oh, thank you so much,
Hi,
Deuce.
Deuce. Let me go and see what you got here, brother. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
yeah.
Let's see.
So sweet.
Oh, they're awesome, aren't they? Boy, it took me right off out of the page and everything. Was there another one that came in that I didn't get, baby?
Well, Deuce, only Deuce said I
Okay,
never
good,
asked.
good. I'll check. If I've lost my way here, folks,
You want
because I'm speaking so much from the heart tonight.
Deuce?
I've just got a few notes that I'm following that kind of keep me on track. But this band was so much, and I'll tell you, when I first got the um, uh, live at Red Rocks, or the Red Rocks DVD. One of the Okay, so first of all, I've mentioned the Love in His Face, but this was the four out of the five Moody Blues, original Moody Blues, with an orchestra behind them, folks. A live orchestra in one of nature's greatest, sound systems. Okay, and they were awesome, absolutely awesome. And when I got that, you have to understand, I had switched from guitar to bass and would continue to play bass guitar for the next 10 years of my life. So when I saw it, my focus was on John Lodge, and I was impressed, especially for the amount of singing he did. And some bass lines very simple to allow that, others quite intricate. And he was an underrated bass player. Was he in the top 10? No, but he'd be in the top 50 of
Do you
rock bass players, and anybody in the top 100 would be something.
do you need me to read Deuces, or you?
Yeah, would you please? Because it's not coming. Oh,
Oh,
here it is. Wait a minute. I think I got it, baby. Let me see
okay,
if I can read
okay,
it. When I can, I'd like to.
absolutely.
Okay, Deuce sends in a $5 super thanks. He says they have one of the best album runs. Oh, good point. Uh, I'll start it over. See, I'm interrupting my own super thanks here.
Yeah.
They have one of the best album runs in history. You can't go wrong with any of them. Absolutely. See, I interrupted him again. Those several Hayward albums, Hayward Eid albums, are pure gold. Yeah, if not platinum. Right, Deuce? Thank you so much. Deuce supports us so much here. So many of you do. I appreciate it. So you don't even know where what it means to us. We talk about you folks, when we sign off. Kimberly will tell me, oh, you didn't get to so and so because they were talking about this or they were talking about that, right? And I catch up through her. I've said it before. She's my tether, right, to you, so that I can give you a presentation that I've developed. That's why my stream is a little bit different. Tonight, after my stream, I'll be going over to Royce, and I'm just going to be one of four horsemen over there, one panelist out of four, right? And so that is a completely different change. And I think between my show here at 5 to about 6-ish, we'll see where we go. This is a special stream, and I do want to get up to Royce, and I want to make sure I'm there early and everything. But I to me, I got to tell you, folks, when I think of these guys, think of the people that. I didn't mention Patrick Moraz, and that'll probably get mentioned tonight more on uh, Royce's channel. Now, Patrick Moraz, is he really a Moody Blues? We've had that discussion. One of the panelists brought it up in the background. He was the guy that kind of replaced Mike Pender. Okay. And he was there. He helped with the writing in the studio. He played with them live. Uh, but he was never quite afforded full membership, except for on one album cover. Maybe somebody from the panel will remember which album that was, that they actually included him as a member, or it alludes to that he's a member. But, it's a 5 band sound, and he did replace Mike Pender, and he replaced him for a ton of time, uh, even though Moraz is also kind of one of those guys that show up in any band anywhere on the planet. I still would consider him. Uh, yeah, I include him with Denny Laine, Clint Warwick, Rod Clark, who was there real quick, and Patrick Moraz. These are other Moodies, right? Without them, they wouldn't have had the same history. Without Patrick, they wouldn't have had the later. Matter of fact, I think it was Patrick that is there at live at Red Rocks, isn't it? Somebody let me know. All right. So they wouldn't have had the later career, or at least the ability to present it like they did. And he was a key factor that kept the energy going. And without these original 3 members that would be initially replaced, they wouldn't have had a contract to begin with, right? And of course, Denny Laine uh, wasn't too sorry he left. He became the deputy leader of Wings, Paul McCartney and Wings, and was an asset. He wrote for that band a lot more than most people would even know. So greatness came out of even the early aspects of this band, and greatness was maintained later by Patrick Moraz, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so let's get down here and see what you guys have to think. Have to say. I am so tongue tied tonight, baby. I don't know where that came from. I should have done more of those, purple peckered people eaters, exercises before getting on. Knucklehead or Knucklehead Rock says, "Talking Out of Turn is one of John Lodge's best Moody Blues songs, in my opinion." Yeah, beautiful. Matter of fact, I had some, and like I said, on this device, it's going to be hard to even find them. But let me see if I can find a couple of the examples I was thinking to bring along. Good Lord. Was this it? Uh, no, no, that's not going to work tonight. We'll eventually get this fixed, folks. But yeah, good point, brother. Good point. Saw Patrick live with the Moodies twice. Yeah, Alan? Alan's World. Did you? I missed him. Oh, God, I hate to say it. I missed him. You know, that would have been something. Where'd you see him? Where'd you see him? Okay, this is from Doc Insomnia. Things went from bad to worse in 67. They decided the time had come to either split up or try a radically new approach. Yeah, and Doc made a lot of comments at the beginning of this stream that even more specifically covered this aspect. I have them tagged, and I was going to bring them up, but to bring them up on this device, Doc, it wouldn't have worked. I'm so sorry. Or so he said to either split up or try a radically new approach, decided to stick together, bought a Mellotron, and wrote her own material. Yeah, nah, I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, Michael Pender and the Mellotron. Do you know that he actually called it the Pendertron? It was a used Mellotron that he got, and he took out all the special effects out of it, tapes there, and then he doubled up the tape. So he heavily doctored that Mellotron into a completely different instrument. That's why I consider him, man, he's as great as he's part of the inner core five, man. You gotta have Mike Pender and his compositions and his arranging and his influences and his connection to the early connection of the Moody Blues. And you've got to have Michael Pender because he's such a, the man just lived the way he wanted. Out of all these people, out of the five, there's only one left, Justin Hayward. All right. He is the last remaining Moody. Now, I couldn't find anything on Alan Clark or any of them, but I did. Was it Alan Clark or see, my notes are on the other side. But pretty much the Moody's have passed. Can you even begin to imagine that, folks? I mean, this is my youth, and the hours that I spent listening to this band right next to Led Zeppelin, right next to the Beatles, right next to Deep Purple, right next to Black Sabbath. You know, I I'd play a Black Sabbath album, put on Threshold of the Dream, and then follow that with Close to the Edge by Yes. Okay, so the Moody Blues are no, yes, I heard they were quite quaint back in the day. You'd be wrong, okay? And if you are a younger viewer right now, do some research and then imagine just how big this band was, okay? Because their hits don't tell the story. It was their presence on FM radio. They were everywhere. And even the most casualest of fans had one or two Moody Blues albums back in the day. I got into my 20s, this held true. When I got into my 30s, this held true. When I got into my 40s, the herd was starting to thin. By the time I was in my 50s, I noticed, hey, wait a minute. A lot of the stations aren't even playing their stuff anymore. And there's been this disconnect from rock fans in general from the Moody Blues. And if anything would tell me that, it's my poll, folks. Look how well their greatest hits album is done. Now, if it takes a greatest hits album to get them into the next generation for remembrance, that's better than nothing, but it takes away the artistic expression of at least eight, perhaps nine masterpieces that need to be heard in totality. I don't know. What do you guys think? Uh, let's see. Alan's World again. He says, yes, he is. Played keyboards all through the 80s, played on four albums and a little bit of fifth. Of the fifth? A fifth. Maybe you meant the fifth. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Angela, it's good to see you in. I love Ride Me My Seesaw. Yeah, me too.
That's awesome.
Oh God, and it's epic, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, John Lodge. John Lodge wrote it. Uh, from the Royal Albert Hall, great live version. I've got that on DVD. I'll have to re-listen to it. Uh, but what a wonderful song! Again, part of the soundtrack of my youth, folks. What are we going to do? So many of our greats are truly this year. I usually do an end of the year uh, video on passing rock stars. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it this year. There have been so many rock deaths. And for me, I cover it with a certain soundtrack. So I have a limited time and I want enough time to at least focus on each rock star. And I'm wondering if for the first time I might have to do a part two. I don't know. This is This, every year we've been edging toward this, and now so many of these guys, it was uncomfortable, kind of seeing them in their 70s when we knew them in their 20s, right? And now in their 80s, and so many of them passing away. It's like that barrier, and so few seem to get past it. And it's the late 70s, early 80s for these rockers. That's kind of uncomfortable to entertain for me. I don't know about you. It would depend on how old you are. If you're watching me and you're in your 20s, you're probably thinking, dude, you know, uh, I mean, 82, I can only hope to live that long. I'm 70. I'm going to tell you something. You hit 70, 82 don't seem that old. You know what I mean? And I want to continue. But, you know, there's this damn thing called the fact of life that none of us are forever. But if there's any chance of any of us being a forever person, it would be to create something, a painting, you know, an artistic expression, writing a book, writing poetry, or creating some of the greatest music that mankind has ever known. At least
Yeah.
people won't forget you, and your name lives on,
The
and
music
not
lives on.
in infamy either. You know what I mean? What's that, baby?
I said the music lives on.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I agree. It's the music that lives on, folks. And if there's any kind of cap to tonight's stream that I would say is, you know, first of all, concerning John Lodge. He's a hero of mine and has been, especially. I always like Justin Hayward. It to me, okay, it's like Justin Hayward almost served as John and Paul for the Moody Blues. He was both Lennon and McCartney. He wrote so much stuff, and that almost relegated John Lodge as the George Harrison of the group. Not writing a whole lot for them, but what he wrote was great. That kind of thing. But the fact is, he was the second guy. He was the McCartney to what's his name, to uh, uh, Justin's Lennon, or vice versa, right? There's no doubt about that. He played a major role within the band, and he just didn't have as much material, or didn't offer as much material, or did, and the whole band just voted for a lot of Justin stuff, or maybe another band member goes, "You think you have problems? I want my shit on this one." Right? And there's always that. And you got to take the strongest material, not that his material would have been any weaker, but maybe not as strong as the others that were being offered by others in the band for that album, right? For that particular album and the feel of that album. Because, folks, that's what, if you're hearing about all these rock bands from the 60s who used to do these like albums, that's back in the day, man. The albums were, why was that? Well, listen to the Moody Blues and then you'll understand. There's a purposeful beginning and ending to these albums, there's a flow. There's purposeful breaths taken. There's poetry, there's music, there's orchestra. The band that used a symphonic orchestra to create, in my humble opinion, prog rock, the first prog rockers out of them, with the possible exception of Frank Zappa. But to me, that would not be a band. That would be him more as a solo artist in my head. A lot of you go, bullshit, man. They're called mothers of invention. Gotcha, Noland. Too bad. They're number one, right? But once again, then you got to go. Well, yeah. Just rattle off all the people just for me, real quick, without stopping, that were in Frank Zappa and the Mother of Inventions, because I can rattle off who's been in the Moody Blues. right? Okay. All right, folks. Like I said, I'm going to shut down a little bit sooner tonight. I want to get plenty of time. I got to cool this studio down because we're going in big time at Royce tonight. All right, we're going to uh, be taking this on so many different levels. All right, I want to thank each and every one of you who have supported the channel, not just financially. For those, we had a really good audience tonight. Uh, for those of you who just view these things. You're supporting this channel. I appreciate it. That's why I do this. Number one, to the viewer, right? And then those of you who are good enough to give us a thumbs up, right? Where are we at right now? 68 thumbs up. At 50, we got a bump up, and the audience increased at that moment. If we get a second bump up, we need about 32 more from what I'm seeing there. Then the replay will go to a wider audience. So those folks go the extra distance. And then some of you join, all right, for uh, uh, just as either, well, I've got two tiers, but you join and you pay a monthly fee for that joining, and you support the channel that way, right? You are either a tribal elder or a tribal chieftain for that. I've got a new video over there for you guys to peruse. That I've got well over 100 videos, way over. I've got to count them up over there that are not on my regular channel. So they support, and then all you wonderful folks who supported us tonight with your super thanks. You continue to support us, and all of that goes right back into the studio. I'm going to have to spend some of that on finding a haunted iPad repairer in my local community, and that goes in. It goes into the upkeep. I've got one of my battery. My lighting is done by battery powered lighting, right? And my chargers. This is about the fifth time I'm going to have to replace the chargers on this because I use them all the time. There's wear and tear on the equipment, and on top of that, there's other things that where your support has really helped us because what the channel used to make regarding that from commercials, things like that, has been greatly diminished. And part of that is, well, we're not going to get into that. I wanted to keep this on a more positive note tonight. All right, so right now it's about, so I'm shutting down, not terribly early, about 7 minutes earlier than I usually do. But that'll give me just the right amount of time to kind of get ready, cool down the studio, and then be ready to be up on the Four Horsemen. Royce will be Resurrection, Dan will be Conquest, and I, of course, will be War Horse. Who's the fourth horseman tonight? Let the drama begin. I don't know. I talk to Royce all the time, but I never know what the man runs his own channel. I run mine, and when I'm over there, I try to behave myself.
Oh,
You
hi,
know,
John
oh my
Foster
goodness,
just came in with
John, thank you so
$2.
much with a deuce
Oh,
hammer,
thank you,
$2.
John.
What?
Oh,
Can
that's so
you read that
sweet.
for me, babe? Oh, wait a minute, I got it here. So glad to be back. Missed you guys. Yeah, John, it's been a tick. I love John. Long time viewer. And you know what? I am so glad you are back, John. And make your presence known, brother, in the comments and everybody. Everybody's ready to re embrace you. That's what the tribe is all about. All right. We care for one another, we get to know each other. Did we have any trolls tonight, baby?
Not that I saw. We
Oh,
didn't,
that's good news. I'd like to thank said trolls for being respectful since we were doing a tribute on a fallen rock hero. Truly, seriously, if you're out there, I appreciate it because tonight wouldn't have been good. This guy was a major player in a major player band. All right. They were, like I said, they're in my top 13 bands of all time on my own private list. And about a year ago, that was changed by your vote, right? But I've said this before. I'm coming up where I will take the four lease bands and put them through the ringer to make room for a couple more. Maybe the Moody Blues will be one, and then we'll tag those on just to keep the list breathing a bit. All right, folks, that's something I've had on in the back of my mind that I've been thinking to do to keep that list alive, right? The first list on Mount Rock Olympian Gods was put together by me, and it stayed that way for a good 2 years, right? And now we've done your list, and I know that's been at least a year. Maybe it's time to put it through the ringer. What do you guys say? At this point, I'm going to have to ask you, make your comments on that in the replay, folks, because that's where I'll see them. Because I'm going to shut down and then I won't be seeing your comments. All right. Um, Anything else? No, I think we covered it all. I've hopelessly not pushed this enough. You know, the one thing that you get a physical thing for supporting the channel, right? And we are the tribe is our mantra, folks. We are the tribe. We are the tribe. Amen. There's so many ways to say it, isn't Amen. There? All right. Okay, so about 4 minutes early, I managed to get most of it done for you, folks. Thank you so much for showing up. And please, if you're watching now, join me at 6:30. That's 34 minutes from now? Over at Royce in the house, and we're going to carry this discussion on. This is just the stuff out of my head, off the top of my head. All right. We've got three more gentlemen over there. They got a whole lot more to say than just little old me, and I'll pepper in and out during the evenings. All right, folks. I've been Michael Noland all night long, and this has been Tribal Forum number 77. Next time, I'll see you is on Wednesday at 5 o'clock on Tribal Forum number 78. All right, folks. Night.